and thank you for taking a few minutes to review this important topic. Today, we will cover a brief but inclusive agenda on the topic of website accessibility. This presentation is specifically geared toward K-12 professionals in Montana. Before getting started, here's a brief disclaimer, and please note, this presentation and all associated materials are for educational purposes only. The presentation you are about to see and the associated resources are the result of the Website Accessibility Project sponsored by the Montana Educational Technologists Association and supported by the School Administrators of Montana. A big thank you to Meta, Sam, and all of the individuals who contributed to the resources, and a special thanks to you for learning about this important topic. So, what is website accessibility? Well, let's start with what it is not. So, it is not a technical checklist or something to buy your way out of. Accessibility is fundamentally about generating and providing content with inclusion in mind. As we build and provide content, we should be thinking about how different people will be able to perceive that content. We should choose to provide the content in an inclusive way that does not prohibit or frustrate anyone's ability to perceive it. And remember, this is our responsibility, not our burden. The key resource we'll be going over today is the metahelp.org website. This website provides a robust overview of website accessibility, including Montana schools' legal obligations, the technical considerations associated with accessibility, some how-tos on getting your website compliant, some gotchas to watch out for, and some considerations for ongoing compliance management. There are also links to several excellent external resources addressing specific considerations. The Meta mailing list is also a great place to engage Montana technologists in conversation about this or any other topic. On Monday, March 19th, 2018, Sam and Meta will host a roundtable discussion at a joint session of the Mass Spring Conference and the Meta Tech Ed Conference in Helena. Today we'll be reviewing some of the metahelp.org website as we go through this introductory video. So we welcome you to explore this website. Please note, each page of the website with content contains a comment section at the bottom. We invite you to use this comment section to ask questions about the topic and or to share your school's experience and expertise to make the content even better. What are the rules for accessibility for Montana schools? The primary legal guideline is the Americans with Disabilities Act and the associated amendments in case law. Section 508 and 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 also govern educational access. There are no additional specific Montana laws refining or further clarifying these federal guidelines. The guidelines do not prescribe specific actions regarding website accessibility and are therefore not straightforward. So what does this mean? There are no silver bullet answers. There's no legally prescribed checklist regarding compliance. The complaint process can be confusing. In short, the rules are not totally clear. Let's take a look at some common questions that the metahelp.org website addresses. So, can I switch to a different hosting provider to quickly and easily reach compliance? What website hosting companies are 100% ADA compliant? What's the most cost-effective way to ensure compliance? What happens if I don't make my website compliant? What if I choose to just shut my website down? What about just using Facebook or another social media venue? What about teacher pages? Do they have to be accessible? What about Infinite Campus or Google Classroom? Do I have to worry there? Can I put my website behind a password to get around this issue? And can I just have a notice on my website that says, come talk to me if you're having trouble accessing anything? We aren't going to spend time in this video reviewing these answers, but please jump over to the metahelp.org. The short answer to many of these questions is, if you have a website intended for public use, it must be publicly open and available, and it's the district's responsibility to ensure that it's accessible. While the rules of compliance are not clear-cut, there are some guiding principles available to help us navigate these difficult waters. The World Wide Web Consortium has a project called the Web Accessibility Initiative. The WAI provides a ton of great resources on accessibility. The World Wide Web Consortium has provided an overview of the 4 principles of accessibility to help give context to website accessibility. There are 4 on the Meta website underneath Introduction. You can review the 4 principles. There are 4 principles of accessibility that should be considered when providing content. Is the content perceivable? That is, can I perceive the information with at least one of my senses? Is the website operable? Can I use the mode of operation that best suits me to navigate the website? That may be a mouse, a keyboard, a touchpad, a touchscreen, or other assistive technology. Is the information understandable? Is it provided in a way that is clear that I can reasonably be expected to understand? And is the information robust? Does it work reliably with a wide range of both common as well as adaptive browsing technologies? Remember, this is not a to-do list. These principles should help inform every decision we make about content and presentation. It can also help to understand the wide range of abilities our audience may have. There are some resources available through the WAI to help us appreciate how disabilities impact the browsing experience of some people with disabilities. To help make these rules easier to apply, Meta has developed what we call the Ranch Rules. The Ranch Rules try to boil down the principles of accessibility into more action-oriented steps to help school districts make good content choices. Ranch is an acronym, with each letter representing a call to action regarding accessibility. R is for readability. Is your website readable regardless of disability? Do you use alt tags appropriately? Is your content all screen reader compatible? And other concerns. A is for architecture. Has your website considered all structural requirements, including those that impact people's ability to find out where they are and what options they have available? N is for navigation. Is your website navigable given all input types? This includes, but is not limited to, keyboard-only navigation. A website that requires a mouse is not accessible. C is for contrast. Does your website adequately address color and contrast concerns for people with low vision or color blindness? And H is for helper. Are your website's helpers all accessible? As you can see, the metahelp.org website has a short video accompanying each of these letters to help you understand the topic more. Particularly challenging can be the helpers. Helpers are those things attached to your website like PDFs, videos, Word documents, and other attachments. To be considered accessible, all of your attached helpers must also be accessible. And remember, sometimes less is more. A website with less content is easier to get compliant and easier to keep compliant. So you have redone or reviewed your website and believe it is compliant. How do you ensure that it stays compliant over time? The first thing to do is to ensure your website truly is compliant. Given the complexity of the topic, many districts make the mistake of believing their website is compliant when, in fact, it is not. Using a tool such as the Wave tool to review your website does not guarantee it is compliant, even if it passes the Wave test. Put a review process in place. That review process will look different in different districts. small districts versus large, small websites versus large websites. Train. All content creators, and especially content publishers, should be trained on accessibility. Whether you use the principles of accessibility, the Ranch rules, or another tool for training, make sure your content creators understand what it means to build accessible content. Make sure to adopt good internal policies and practices. It is up to the administration and school board to provide district guidance regarding accessibility. And stick to your processes. Document the actions you take, whether that is regarding the final review process before publishing content or the routine checks you may conduct against the website to ensure compliance. Document who was responsible for the review, when the review took place, and what the results of the review were. This level of attention will help guarantee that the processes you adopt are being followed with fidelity. Often, schools jump directly to the technical considerations for compliance. Because websites are technical tools, we make the mistake thinking that compliance is a purely technical matter. Remember that accessibility compliance is about inclusion, not a technical checklist. It is important to understand the principles of accessibility before addressing technical considerations. There are several technical standards and guidelines that do address accessibility. It is important to remember that these guidelines are not to-do lists for accessibility compliance. They are provided by governance bodies as suggestions on how to reach accessibility. While some governments and agencies have formally legally adopted one or more of these technical standards, that is not the case in Montana for public K-12 institutions. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines are generally considered the gold standard for structural accessibility. The WCAG 2.0 AA guidelines are generally used by the Office for Civil Rights as the baseline requirements when working with a district to resolve a public complaint regarding lack of accessibility. This is a technical document, but as you can see, it is broken down into the considerations that address the principles of accessibility. Note that there are 3 levels of WCAG 2.0 compliance: A, AA, and AAA. AA is the compliance most appropriate for Montana Public Schools. The metahelp.org website goes into greater detail on WCAG 2.0 compliance levels and how to make sure your district is compliant. The Web Accessibility Initiative Accessible Rich Internet Applications recommendations help define technical steps to ensure accessibility for rich Internet applications. This largely does not apply to most components on public school websites, but in rich elements such as fancy drop-down menus and HTML5 slideshow elements do fall under the style guidelines for ARIA. If you find that your website does not meet all of the Ranch rules, especially around navigation, you may need to visit the ARIA styles. The WAVE tool is a common tool used to check websites against WCAG 2 and other accessibility guidelines. It can be a very useful tool to gut check your website. Please remember that a website that passes the WAVE tool is not necessarily accessible. The metahelp.org website has a tutorial on how to use the WAVE tool. There are several screen readers available on the internet to help you determine how your website will be perceived by one of these adaptive tools. With all of these technical tools, remember that there is no one specification that guarantees compliance, and that technical specifications are there to provide guidelines, not checklists. In conclusion, please remember to check out the metahelp.org website. There are several other resources linked from that website for your review. The Ranch rules are a good rule of thumb, as are the WCAG 2.0 guidelines and ARIA styles. These guidelines do not define accessibility. The Web Accessibility Initiative is a great and open resource, and please share your experiences with others.